I pushed it. It says we're live. It says hello.
Oh,
hello, Internet. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, so
we're here.
We're we are here.
We are live.
We're
just
doing
like
a thing.
threw us in the deep end.
Just right off.
It's
right
like
off.
that meme of that burly guy who throws that kid in the river. You can't do that anymore.
No,
you can't just throw kids in a river anymore.
It's not kosher. Yeah.
They'll call OSHA on you or something like that. Child Protective Services. I don't know. They'll call somebody.
It doesn't matter where you do it. There's going to be 25 people live streaming it like immediately. You're just going to be surrounded. Yeah. Yeah, we're here. Hello.
Yeah, hey.
It's Terry.
Whoa.
Look
Hey,
at that.
Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Hey.
You're on the screen, Terry.
Terry. Look at that. That's pretty
We're here.
cool.
You're here.
They're here. You're here. What'd it do?
Oh, man. So, yeah.
Man.
So we are live streaming this. There will be a VOD afterwards, but this is a kind of the soft launch of our video podcast, which is the same as the audio podcast, just with video. You see how that, yeah. That's
Hey.
absolutely, yeah. So we will be featuring viewer comments. Basically, what'll happen is if you comment on a news story while we're talking about it, we may incorporate that comment into the podcast. So you could actually become a part of the podcast by being in the conversation, and that's kind of how we'll handle this. Pretty freaking exciting stuff. Glad you're all joining us, and this is a big thing, kind of our big 2022, one of the many things we're going to be doing new in 2022, but I'm excited. You guys are definitely pumped. Brad, you're looking fantastic. Look at that hat, Bruno. I need a hat.
We gotta get you a hat.
Yeah,
we gotta get you one.
Yeah. That's what we're missing.
I recommend Melon. That's where I got where all my hats are from, really.
Nice.
From that. And then Brad gets a hat from every brewery in existence.
I'm going international today. This is a brewery from Canada right here. Grizzly Paw Brewing, shout out. You know what I mean? So,
I like that. I like the little bear paw in there. I like that.
See
It's
it.
very, very in the suede patch.
Yeah.
For our listeners out there. And mine's got a nice reflective, it's like a midnight reflective thing on there. These are all like shiny reflective things on the front of the hat. And and then we just got to get Nick a hat.
Oncoming traffic, they're going to see it coming.
Would you be opposed to a yarmulke? I know you're not really Jewish, but
that could be an issue for a lot of reasons.
I don't see why Jewish people get the monopoly on cool hats.
Well, I personally, I think the coolest hat is a fez, but that's just my take.
That's true. Have you ever seen them, the Shriners? Have you ever seen them?
Yeah, they always ride the go-karts in our Apple Blossom Parade. I'm like, oh, there goes the Shriners.
They're like adult go-karts. You know what I'm talking about? They look like mini convertibles, and they just drive around. I don't know how they got that job, but I want it. That's the job I want in life. Like, I always wanted that as a kid. I was like, man, these guys get to drive around in go-karts in the parade. I am all about that.
Yeah.
And you know what we're all about here at the QTB podcast?
What do you got?
Gaming, Segway, boom. They said it couldn't be done, and your boy does it. That's why we have the sound of the audience.
We're not even recording right now, and just look at us go, you know. And you're gonna get this. We got a bonus content while we're warming up here. So, on the docket today, we've got Take-Two getting bought out by no one's buying Take-Two.
Oh.
Take-Two buying Zynga. Good Lord, that would be more than money. That would be the whole planet. And then Red Dead Online, we had some players there that are pretty upset about the fact that there's just no content updates for the game. And our story about Twitch, quote-unquote, banning some big-name streamers. And,
quote-unquote banning.
That's why I put Twitch,
we'll talk about it.
For the title. It's BaZynga and Twitch, please.
Please.
Alrighty, guys. Well, if you are ready, we are going to get this party started. Everything's good. And we are recording. Fantastic. Alrighty, let's get this show on the road. Here comes the intro. Today on Quit the Build, Take-Two buys $12 billion worth of shark cards to purchase Farmville publisher Zynga, while Red Dead Online players are left in the dust.
And Twitch streamers Pokimane and Disguised Toast get banned on Twitch, if by ban you mean free publicity.
Wait a second. Is my camera light on?
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille. This is QTV.
Quit the Build. The QTB crew is rounding up all the gaming news and hot topics of the week with a little extra something. And here are your hosts, Bruno, Brad, and Nick.
Oh my gosh. How you like them apples?
Woo!
You love to see that.
That is an intro if I've ever seen one. What it do? You're listening to the QTB podcast. I'm your host, Bruno, and with me are the boys of QTB, our co-hosts, Nick and Brad. What did you think about that new intro, guys, that we're showcasing to the world live on YouTube and where else? I don't know. All the
YouTube,
places.
Facebook,
the
and I'm
places.
told Twitter, but I'll verify that
Okay,
later.
well,
I don't
we'll-
believe them.
We'll see one of these days. But for all of our long-term listeners out there, we are actually doing live streams of our podcast recordings where you get tons of bonus stuff that you don't get. All the unedited goodness, right, is going to be on that. So if you ever want to see it, be sure to check out the website quitthebuild.com, and we'll have links to all the socials there, and you can follow it and watch along on your preferred platform, whatever that may be. Brad, what's going on, dude? How's it going this week?
I just have to say, it's not only great that we're getting to record our podcast as usual, but everyone getting to see our beautiful faces for the first time. I mean, come on. How can you not love this trio of the Quit the Build podcast guys? I mean, right?
Yeah. Look at that beard.
Like we gotta say, we've got guys with beards and hats, and then we've got Nick, right?
And then there's me.
Ben
yes,
Shapiro.
the guy with the ring light. So, yeah, oh man, I mean, on TikTok, people say that so often. I'm compared to Ben Shapiro constantly. I get that at work too. It is what it is. I've embraced it at this point. But yeah, guys, so for all of our listeners on the audio podcast, this is our first video podcast where we are kind of simultaneously recording for both platforms. So we will continue the RSS feed. That's not going to change. But you get the added bonus if you watch us stream live at about 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday nights. We will be live on both Facebook and YouTube as well as Twitter. And you get a chance to actually be part of the conversation. And this is a new thing that we're doing for 2022 where you can join the chat. We will see your comments, and we may even feature your comments and incorporate them into the podcast. I got Terry over here saying that the intro is fire. And you know what? It is
That's
fire.
what I love to hear.
That's what we want to see. Terry, how's it going? How you doing there, sir? We're glad that you are joining us and a part of the QTB journey as always. I am excited to get into some gaming news. 2022 is here, boys, and I gotta say, we're hoping for big things in 2022. And right off the bat, we have some amazing things coming down the pipeline, not only for Quit the Build, but for gaming in general. And there are a lot of acquisitions going on right now, a lot of changes being made in companies like Activision. So it's going to be a big year for gaming, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much happening. Yeah, there's just been so many delays in 2021 where so many people just punted and said, you know what, we got you in 2022. But, you know, both major releases like Elden Ring, but also, HD and next-gen versions of existing massive franchises like Grand Theft Auto and even Cyberpunk. But yeah, you know, the big stories today, speaking of which, our big story is brought to you by our friends over at Warby Parker. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Perhaps you are, watching this stream for the very first time and you're saying to yourself, oh my goodness, why are these guys so blurry? Spoiler alert, it's not us, it's you, okay? You need glasses. That's right, and that's why you can go to Warby Parker and get yourself a pair. Actually, you can get yourself 5 pairs absolutely free. And how that works is, whether you've been putting off new frames or maybe you're finally ready to admit that you need glasses, Warby Parker wants to bring the glasses buying experience right into your home. They will send you 5 frames that you pick out for free. You try them, and if you like any of them, they're going to make you a fresh pair of prescription eyeglasses. They'll even add in those cool little extra features like blue light filters to help ease eye strain while you're watching the very first QCB podcast. Hey-o! Now, of course, if you
and listening.
You get it all. That's right.
You get to do both. It's a feast for your eyes and your ears.
Wow.
Wow. Nick, all I can say is that I am a customer. I've done this. I own 2 pairs. And what's really great is if you don't like the first 5 you get in your try-home box, you can return it and do another free try-home box right after that.
That's what you want. Yeah,
You can do
exactly.
unlimited try home boxes until you find the pair that works for you. And that's the great thing. And like you said, the blue light filtering for us gamers late at night really helps reduce that stress on the eyes. I'm a huge fan. Definitely recommend it to our listeners. You got to check out Warby Parker. It's the way to go for your eyeglass needs.
Love to hear it. And there you go. If you go to warbyparkertrial.com/QTB, that's WARBY Parkertrial.com/QTB, you can get started. The link is in the show notes. Gentlemen, we've got our big story for today, and that is coming from IGN.com, talking about this is actually incredible. Talking about the largest game company acquisition in history, which actually dwarfs the Microsoft Bethesda acquisition, right? Which was definitely one that took the gaming industry by storm. But yeah, the company that owns Rockstar and 2K has announced that they have entered into an agreement to buy mobile game developer Zynga at a massive deal that is at the highest video game acquisition of all time. And I mean, this is absolutely insane when you think about the sheer amount of money that's getting thrown around. I mean, we talked before many times about the juggernaut that is Take-Two, and specifically Grand Theft Auto 5, the way that it just straight up prints money. I was just reading an article about how in 2020, not even in 2021, they were literally making $2.5 million every single day in revenue from shark card purchases and new sales of Grand Theft Auto 5, as the game just continues to dominate the charts. And now we're seeing this, I think, very significant pivot into the mobile space with the acquisition of the guys that made Farmville. We're talking Farmville here, guys.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? I mean, who would have thought that Zynga, right? The little dog logo, the king of mobile, right? That's how I really see them. Would be up for sale, first of all, but then acquired at 12.7 billion is I mean, we're just these billion numbers keep coming in, and we just keep throwing it to the wind, like whatever, no big deal.
Yeah.
And what a way to kick off 2022 when you think about how many deals were done just last year. I think there was somewhere along the line of like 6 deals of different, acquirers getting different targets. I think Electronic Arts had gotten Glue Mobile, and Playdemic, and I think Tencent had picked up Sumo Group, but all of those deals were significantly less in terms of deal value or even in inflation adjusted. So to see the beginning of 2022, the value at which Zynga was purchased shows you how much, I guess, Take-Two values acquiring the mobile giant per se, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at a lot of the games that Zynga has under their belt. A lot of them you might not even realize, and it's actually pretty staggering. We're looking at Empires and Puzzles, Farmville. I mean, so many people think that like Farmville died like after when it was kind of a Facebook game first, a browser game, but they're still going strong. My wife loves Farmville. She plays it every day. I mean, it's still very much.
Friends. Woo!
You got Words with Friends on there.
Who doesn't like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Toy Blast, I've seen
Toy
countless
Blast,
ads for.
yeah.
Their advertising budget is absolutely massive because so many of these games are just constantly put in your face when you're trying to do anything on the internet these days.
They all look so similar, though, as you're just like, you know what I mean? It almost looks like I'm on a stock photography website and I'm just like scrolling through random logos of generic games that you too can use this this graphic template for Toon Blast and Toy Blast. Like there's, you know what I mean? It seems like it was very arbitrary in what they were doing, and just, let's just keep going with the magic here, merge magic. Oh, hey, we got a new game.
Yeah.
But the real question, what I'm wondering, and I got to ask this, I'm going to throw this out there. I don't want to get Bruno too excited here. Do you think this acquisition means that we're going to see Take-Two take advantage of this mobile platform and bring their content or library of games to the mobile sphere? Are we going to see GTA Mobile? Like, are we going to see that?
Well, didn't we already kind of see that? I mean, that was technically we had a very piss poor version of that, which was what we got as the definitive edition for the console, right?
I'm glad you mentioned that.
So we technically already have that, but I will say I can see where you're going with this. I can see them basically saying, you know, there are other people that know how to make games better than us in this sphere, and it's there's no doubt that Zynga has the formula to catch your eye and at least the marketing know-how to put those games in front of you and make you want to try those games, especially considering they have essentially a network of games. So they can advertise all of their own games on other platforms of those games, right? Like they can advertise their own games on other games that they own. So they're just advertising against themselves, really.
Yeah. When you have an ecosystem like that, you
Farmville, play Words with Friends, and it's like it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, Zynga still wins. It's like when you choose like a brand, and you're like, I don't want that brand, and then you realize that only five companies own all the brands in the world. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, so Bruno, you had mentioned that, and that is a very interesting point, is that Grove Street Games is the studio that created the 10th anniversary mobile ports of the first 3 3D Grand Theft Auto games. They went on to be the studio that was tapped to create the definitive edition game, which of course hilariously flopped with its launch just because they were clearly just shoddy versions of those mobile ports. And it's very interesting because, we're seeing this shift away from episodic content, right? Where we're already seeing that. The writing's on the wall. Everyone's talking about the rumors of GTA 6, and yet we just got a massive content drop for GTA Online with major AAA, names like Dr. Dre as a part of it. New content practically weekly, major content. And a big part of that is that, we need more than just ports of games. They see how those were received. I doubt that was much revenue for them. They want to go the Words with Friends, the Farmville route. So it makes perfect sense if they have the money to just kind of throw it around. I do want to show you this list from Wikipedia of the most expensive video game acquisitions, just to put this in context. So already, and somebody was very quick to update the Wikipedia article, which, if someone had a Wikipedia article for Quit the Build, we could reference that too. I'm just saying, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The rules say it can't be us.
The rules say it can't be us.
But yeah, so you can see there that the Take-Two Interactive acquisition of Zynga clocked in at $12.7 billion. But also Tencent was acquired by Tencent acquired Supercell, right? At $8.6 billion. Microsoft acquiring Bethesda, $8.1 billion. I mean, the list goes on and on. But really, already, this is in a league of its own, breaching that $10 billion mark, and we're only in the beginning of 2022. I will point out that in mid-2021, we see one of the top on this list is that Electronic Arts, EA, bought Glue Mobile. So they very much made a huge play in the billions to also get in the mobile space. So this is not anything new. This is, I think we're going to continue to see this, where a lot of these big players are snapping up big-name mobile developers because, and we've talked about this before, whether people like it or not, mobile gaming is such a huge part of the gaming industry. And unfortunately, I think it's for the worse. A lot of these companies that were known for putting out legendary games like Red Dead and GTA, it seems like we're going further and further from that trend where they want to get into the GTA 5 model of let's just put out one game and monetize the heck out of it for a decade, right? I don't see that changing.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what rumors are saying right now regarding GTA 6. They're saying that essentially Rockstar is planning to release GTA 6 for the next gen system, and that's it. No Red Dead Redemption 3, no anything else, like just that. And they're only going to be working on that. So, I had this conversation with Brad the other night, and we were talking basically about the lifespan of games and how if you don't have a 10-year plan for a game right now, then what are you doing in the gaming sphere to begin with? Because you're obviously not in it for the money. Because if you want to have something that's sustainable, then obviously you need to, generate revenue on an ongoing basis instead of a one and done $60 title or whatever it may be. And games like, the games on mobile platform have been doing this for years. They've been constantly, dragging gamers, nickel and diming them for paywalls of time, time this or that. And it's absolutely ridiculous. But, we're moving to a different space now with battle passes, right? Where, you have subscription-based services that essentially take precedent over that. So it's very clear that the gaming industry is interested in the mobile market, right? Especially when you think about things like cloud gaming coming to the forefront of everything, where we've got cloud gaming available essentially on every device that's out there. Every smartphone can be just as good as an Xbox 360, right? So at this point, we're almost getting to this point where with mobile phones where they're so powerful that how could we not, look at gaming as an option on these devices?
Absolutely. And some of our viewer comments here, Train Lovers saying that the GTA Definitive Edition was very bland. Couldn't agree more. I mean, they're working on it. Like you had said, Bruno, you had a pretty good experience with Vice City, but overall, I think the reception of that was very poor. And we have Terry saying, are we getting a Mafia Wars style GTA game? Mafia Wars being that mobile game with like those notoriously bad commercials.
Oh, wow.
It's so funny because, and I hope that Take-Two can find a better trend than what we're seeing right now with these mobile game ads like Mafia Wars of like, oh, you can be the level 1 thug that becomes the level 100 mob boss with like the cheesy 3D graphics.
Mob boss, Nick. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's
Or
what
like-
I'm here for. I want all the money. I want all the easy swipes. Just give me the levels.
But
99% of people can't solve this.
Think about this. Think about this acquisition, though. I look at this kind of like what I've seen in the craft beer industry. We're seeing a lot of these craft breweries get bought out by the big macro, the AB InBevs and things like that. And it's a dual play, right? So these big companies are looking for a new niche. Well, what's really unique about this, from my perspective, is the mobile gaming demographic is huge. Casual people, everyone with a cell phone, which is basically everyone, right? A huge part of the population has access and uses a phone daily. That is significantly different than folks who either play on PC or play on a console. So now all of a sudden your exposure and your pool of potential buyers has grown exponentially. And that just means one thing: dollars, right? So yes, did they spend a premium on Zynga? Probably. But that's going to probably pay itself over tenfold easily with the success of one or two big mobile launch games for them. And
even at their existing rate, right? Like even at their existing revenue rate for Zynga, they're probably going to turn a profit if they just kept things the same, like within 5 years. I mean, look at how much money like gaming is making hand over fist right now. It's in the billions everywhere. So obviously they knew that they could gain their money back without necessarily having to release a new game. But I do think that that's on the horizon. I think that how could you not, right? Like how could you not kind of pull your developers and say, hey guys, let's get a new experience on here, for the kids. Let the little kids enjoy Grand Theft Auto, okay?
Well, and back to a previous episode when we discussed kind of the future of AR and VR, to now own a company that could be really leveraging one piece of that as those spheres grow. These companies want to be well diversified, right? So I think there's I could see a lot of strategic reasons why these acquisitions are going to continue to happen going forward.
Well, I'll tell you one acquisition that makes sense for all of our listeners and viewers, and that is, of course, Patreon. What else would it be? Yeah, There you go. As always, I want to say thank you to our Patreon supporters like Nick, Epicapture Productions, The Dudest Monk, Indie Gamiacs, and Mr. Grove Games. For all of you out there, if you would like to join the QTB crew at patreon.com/quitthebuild, you're going to get all sorts of great perks, and we are putting out not one, but 2 monthly Nostalgia Vault episodes. This upcoming episode, we're going to be talking about PBS shows back in the day. We're talking Wishbone, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, and we haven't even started to look at our second episode, but you can join the conversation, even tell us what you want us to talk about on the Nostalgia Vault. Tiers start as low as just $2 per month, and it's going to give you instant access to so much bonus content, hours and hours of our bonus podcast, and a whole lot more. Thanks, as always, to our supporters for making it happen. Guys, our next story is coming to us from... Well, I don't know. Let me see what I got here. See, this is the beauty of doing something live.
Let's check the ticker. Let's check the ticker
at
the bottom.
Save Red Dead Online
Oh my
trends.
goodness, there it is. Yeah.
As fans rally for
That's
more
right.
content. What I mean, I was going to say, what more could you want from the game? It was a fantastic single player experience. Oh wait, that's right. Single player games don't retain audiences for longer than what the game takes to play. How about that? Maybe that's why it doesn't matter how many exclusives, single player specifically exclusives, PlayStation, okay, that you have, because down the line, people are still going to be looking for something to play online, and that's exactly what this is about. Fans want more from Red Dead Online, and they're not getting it.
Nick, how do you find a way every episode to rip off that scab for Bruno? You always find a way.
I don't rip off anything. He just he looks for it.
Yep, it's there.
He won't
there.
let the wound heal.
Bruno,
I
you
have to
gotta
hear
go.
about The Last Guardian one more time.
We gotta play that. We gotta play that song from that new movie Encanto. Don't tell Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno.
There we go.
Listen. That is a sore subject for me. First of all, Second of all, I got news for you. I lost my train of thought, and I just am so angry that I can't formulate a thought right now to get what I was gonna say, other than something Red Dead Redemption.
Well, the last time that you got upset, you ended up playing Spanish Flea. So we'll just go right into our next news story, which is from IGN again, and this is about the hashtag Save Red Dead Online trending hashtag that occurred on Twitter, where people are just fed up, man, because if you have been a part of the Red Dead Online community, right, which of course is the online component of Red Dead Redemption 2, you haven't seen a whole lot of content, and there are some very dedicated players who continue to play that on many platforms, even available on Google Stadia. But they are absolutely fed up with just the pure inattention that's coming from Rockstar. And what really started to kick things off, it began on January 6th, right? So there was an update alert from Rockstar about Red Dead saying, hey, we've got this new thing. They gave it a flashy name, but it just ended up being XP boosts. There was no real new content that they had introduced. And so everyone's thinking, oh my goodness, like if this is the big thing at the beginning of 2022, what do we really have to look forward to as a player base? And all they're doing is just enhancing the stuff that's already there. They really haven't seen any kind of major content release in quite some time. Now, I mean, normally when there are, in-game rewards or that kind of thing, typically in an online game, it's filler time, right? Like they're just trying to get you to come back and play the game. Yeah. But this really became an interesting breaking point for the Red Dead community that had been very vocal in the past. But once you get trending on Twitter, it's a whole different animal. And I think the big problem here is just Rockstar's complete silence when it comes to the concerns of people that have been, really invested in the economy and just the long term of this game. And they're starting to think like, are we going to see anything new in the next 2-3 years at all? Could they shutter the online at some point? And, these cries are still going unanswered. And so my question is, do you guys think there's ever going to be that turning point where we actually see a major content drop for this? Or is this game just going to be on life support until it's no longer fiscally sound to run it?
Nope, nothing. It's not going to happen. I don't think it's coming. I don't think that that there's going to be any more content drops that try and sway players. Rockstar knows where their money's at. It's in Grand Theft Auto Online, and they're making tons of money via shark cards right now and the in-game purchases that are going on with the game. And is a ton of content there because it's been out for 10 years.
Yep.
Okay. So we're, with Grand Theft Auto 6 on the horizon and fans really wanting that. I mean, so much so that they're rushing the stage on random German or some television.
Yeah.
Was it? I don't know what it was. It was like, was it Australia? Was it Austrian?
Austrian, yes.
Was it Austrian? That's
small
what
difference
it
there.
was.
Yes.
Maybe just a small difference.
Just a few letters subtraction.
We got corrected on TikTok. That's all I know.
We did. We did because it wasn't Australia.
No,
because they started speaking not Australian,
right?
Or English, or British, or any mix of the three. Okay.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with Bruno. When you think about where Red Dead Online is in terms of age, I think it's about 3. And, we just mentioned GTA Online is almost 10, right? When you think back to when GTA Online was 3, it was getting between 5, maybe 6, 7, even 8 major updates each year. And that depends on how you want to classify a major update, but the frequency, the attention, right, to that compared to what we're not seeing with Red Dead Online to this point, I have to agree with Bruno that I just don't think we're going to see that. I think they know where their money's at, and Red Dead just didn't fall into that bucket. And I would be curious to see the number in comparison of the gamer pools of how many are still playing GTA Online versus Red Dead, right? And that justifies your allocation of resources to really generating new content.
Yeah, so in a press release in the middle of last year, the CEO of Take-Two, Strauss Zelnick, said that Red Dead Online is performing solidly. The online mode was the 4th main driver for net bookings and the 3rd highest driver for recurrent consumer spending in Q2 of 2021. They also noted that Red Dead Online had a 26% increase in active players and a 29% boost in new user acquisition, meaning new players that played the online mode that hadn't touched it previously, and even said that spending on in-game microtransactions was notably above expectations. So if that's not hyperbole and they actually exceeded their targets, but they're still not willing to put any kind of investment into it, we know that they are down to pretty much a skeleton crew. They've got, the bare bones of what's needed in order to keep the game running. And so when you see these major content updates coming for GTA 5, like I said, with huge names like Dr. Dre behind them, that wasn't cheap, but they know it's going to pay for itself instantaneously. They're looking at their time to revenue, ratio and saying, especially in this era of being in this, global labor shortage, that's a whole different conversation, but just it's tough to fill positions right now where they need to prioritize what makes money, because ultimately, as we've said many times, these big corporations and studios and publishers, they're beholden to the shareholders, and the shareholders want results, and GTA 5 is what's going to produce those results. So I think even with this mobile games acquisition of Zynga, I think, GTA 5, like we said, $2.5 million every single day on one game. And if you think that they aren't going to try and recreate that with their mobile games approach, you thought wrong. We're not going to see, a GTA 5 single player campaign. It would be funny if they released a campaign DLC on mobile, though. That would get the internet very salty.
Mobile only. What, you don't have phones? You don't have phones?
Oh. Hey, there you go. Please rimshot that. Oh man. But yeah, we have the Dudas Monk saying that he felt like Red Dead was always meant to be an epic campaign-centric game, and online play was tacked on. It never meant to be like GTA. I agree with that sentiment, because online, even in the first year or so after it was released with Red Dead Online, it did come after the campaign. It wasn't released alongside it. It felt like an afterthought. It was the same world, but with bare bones missions. You got a couple extra missions with cutscenes, but it just felt like you were inhabiting, a very much a ghost town version of the game that you were playing before. There's notable things missing. Towns aren't as active. And I found myself getting bored with it very quickly. And that's coming from someone that usually prefers to play an online game rather than a single-player campaign. But to be fair, Red Dead 2's story is so good that it's really hard for you to go from that campaign to the online mode. your expectations are going to be very high, like mine were, ultimately to be let down by the experience. I don't think there's any amount of content that they could have released that would have kept me playing Red Dead Online. I'll put it to you that way.
I think it was because they painted themselves into a corner with the realism of the game. I think that's kind of one of the things that made Red Dead Redemption Online, the first one, have such a unique following, is because you could unlock so many things that were, you shouldn't be able to unlock or do. Like, you could ride a buffalo at one point. That could be your horse instead of an actual horse. And I think that they should have really just leaned in to random lore that they created, where they could have something like a flying horse that you could acquire, or a unicorn horse that laser beams in the head.
Please, no.
Yeah, that
just
is
kill the game now.
That would 100% get you coming back, Nick. You said there's nothing that would get you to come back, and I got news for you. Okay, a unicorn that shoots lasers from its head would get any gamer to play that game. They already added zombies with Undead Nightmare for the first one. So they already toyed with the idea of unrealistic scenarios happening, in regards to zombies or whatnot. And they had horses that were like the war horse and a horse of pestilence and all these like mythic creatures, right? Why not lean into that and have some of those things that are ridiculous and make it more mystical online, like Grand Theft Auto Online is, where you go in there and people are flying around on a literal rocket motorcycle, that terrifies you. It's called the Oppressor, Nick. What better name for a troll vehicle than the Oppressor?
Brad, are you going to let him get away with this?
I was just going to say, this sounds like...
him about 3/4 the way through. He started nodding along. He's like, no, he's got a point.
I was going to say, until to the last bit, I was like, this isn't a Bruno Stradamus. This is Bruno Shenanigans right now. I was like, I'm not seeing it. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I think I still tend to agree with Nick more. I think the game, because of the way it's constructed and what you said first, Bruno, the way how authentic it is in terms of the experience, you can't do that to Red Dead like you did to GTA, right?
Yeah.
And I think that if you were, I think the loyal fans that want content would reject that just as quickly as frustrated as they are with not having anything new. I don't think they would be... I think you would lose whatever essence that Red Dead has right now for their fan base. It would go away. So as fun as that sounds, I think it would be fun like once, and then you kind of go, oh, this is kind of cheesy. I don't know. That's my take.
Yeah, I'd buy it, and then I'd be over it after a couple hours. But man, that'd be a fun couple hours. But you're right. I would be back in the game riding a flying horse.
You get one of the things in the battle pass is a cow that can like poop,
just a
like
cow
poop bomb as you like lay like poop mines on the ground around you, so that way if somebody's chasing you, you can slip them up with a poop mine from a cow. These are, fellas, can't believe that the creativity is not is lush.
Yeah, is.
Right?
It just is.
It is.
It isn't. Because, hello, gaming companies,
man.
If you need an idea, listen to the Quit the Build podcast.
This guy over here, right here.
Well, guys, if you're looking for some creativity, right, some creative solutions, I think a great place to go is our sponsor, Pierce Unlimited. Oh my goodness, for marketing media that works and bespoke design to power your business. Visit pierceunlimited.com. Are you playing the Wii Shop channel?
That's the me. I think it's the me channel.
Yeah.
The me channel.
Services. Yeah. So they got motion graphic animation, corporate graphic design, and of course, podcast production, one of their newest services. If you're looking to have a high quality podcast Quit the Build or anything available on the QTB network, Pierce Unlimited is the place to get it done. Stop on by and get your free quote today. Gentlemen, we have our final... Oh, yeah. Wow, man, that stinger never gets old, man.
Can I just say
Yeah.
that my me was ugly looking? Like I could never get it right.
Did
I
you
really
ever
couldn't.
did you ever do the penis nose? You know what I'm talking about?
There was
I-
the one
and I
nose.
made-
There
I
was
made-
the one nose.
I made Alf, I made like the Grinch, but like those all look great. But when I made my own, I looked terrible.
Yeah.
Just a quick aside. I never could get it right.
They had, I think it was on the Wii U, since they had the camera built in, you could take like a picture of yourself and then it would make a me that was actually pretty decent just based on your facial features. But yeah, and Bruno, people do take that that inappropriate me face and bring it into Mario Kart 8 all the time on Switch. So that is the one and only way they're able to troll people, because Nintendo's privacy settings are through the freaking roof.
Oh man.
Speaking
Yeah.
of trolled, are the Twitch people getting banned getting trolled, or are all we getting trolled? That's what I
Well,
want to know.
That's a great question, Brad, and you're right. Our next story is coming from GameSpot, talking about popular streamers Pokimane and Disguised Toast are now getting banned on Twitch. So you guys may have heard, I think the last time we talked about Twitch metas, we talked about the hot tub meta, which kind of stopped being a thing pretty quickly as they started to really clamp down on how you could appear and the things you could do on stream. Then it went to like the ASMR meta. Twitch metas are super weird, man. I don't like them at all. But here we are. The latest meta has resulted in some Twitch action, right? Regarding copyright infringement, rather just showing these big name DMC takedown style programs. And the story is that, Pokimane and Disguised Toast were both caught within a pretty short span of each other, streaming copyrighted material. I think Pokimane was showing something from The Last Airbender, and
Avatar,
Disguised Toast was showing an anime that he had already shown like 100 episodes of. And very quickly, I guess they were reported, and the right people, contacted Twitch and ended up getting these accounts banned. I wouldn't even play the Womps. And that's why
that's sarcastic Womps.
Yeah, that's why I made the title for this Twitch Please, because almost immediately, Pokimane's ban was lifted. Now, Disguised Toast.
You sound like moms in the 90s. I don't want you playing that Pokimane.
Pokimane. That was that
play
Bill
that
Cosby
Pokemon.
Simpsons impression. Pokimane with the pokey and the mane and the.
Are you kidding me? $5 a pack for Pokemon cards?
Yeah. Now, you wish you paid $5 a pack for Pokemon cards these days. Oh man.
I know.
Yeah, people
Just
are
ask,
snapping
just
those
ask
things
Logan
up.
Paul, right?
Yeah, I saw that story that apparently he'd been buying like millions of dollars on what now many believe are fake cards. So he's been getting drifted
3.5 million. Just want to throw that out there.
and counting.
Well, he could just make a crappy epoxy table like he did with all those retro
Game
Game
Boys.
Boys.
You
I
saw
know.
that too. People
Yeah.
were really upset about that. The first time I saw it, I'm like, okay, and then I thought about it a little more, and I'm like, no.
They were custom modded. They weren't just regular. They were specialty custom modded Game Boys that were made for like to play unique games. So,
Yeah.
anyways, getting
Yeah.
off topic, but
Well,
back
I
to
mean-
Pokimane.
This story isn't all that deep, so I think we're allowed to on this story. But I think that the conversation here is about the bigger picture of Twitch, because so Disguised Toast, he did get a 1 month ban, and he was streaming the popular anime series Death Note. But again, he had streamed over 100 plus episodes, so a lot of people on Twitter saying that he's lucky it's not more. But Pokimane essentially just getting a slap on the wrist. She said she's not surprised, and she doesn't think that it's unfair. It's inevitable that publishers would take action during what she's calling the React meta. And that's that. Okay, that is the problem. And this is a big thing about just Twitch in general that I think we need to go on a little bit of a rant, is that Twitch, the meta almost never has anything to do with playing video games, which is where the bulk of Twitch's audience is. And the more that this is happening, like I said, it went from the hot tub meta to the ASMR meta. Now we're in the React meta, where I guess in order to get the most bang for your buck, you have to go out there and show yourself reacting to things. But if it's that easy to get, for a DMCA takedown, then how in the world are you supposed to be a part of this meta? And the bigger problem, I think, is going to be the small content creators, because
100%.
anybody who isn't making Twitch money, I can promise you that a 1-month ban is probably going to look good to them compared to what they're getting. And so I think this is going to be another example of Twitch playing favorites and going to where the money is, in this case, their biggest streamers, and saying, yeah, you're in trouble. But the question for you guys is, there's something a little more meta than the actual React meta happening here, which I think, and I think you'll agree, is these guys are just playing the system for publicity because we're talking about it, right?
Go for it, Brad.
Oh, yeah, that's what I said. I think we're the ones getting trolled. I think when we talked about this pre-show, it's very clear that this happens, it gets reported, they make a statement on social media, then all of a sudden they've got 30 days or a few days or a day to kind of recharge and maybe push something new, like some new merch or something when they come back, and all of a sudden now people are tuning back in for when they come back to see how they respond or what they're bringing back to their stream. And now all of a sudden the two people who are benefiting are Twitch and them, and we're all just guinea pigs in line for the fodder for the new stream.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think that we are currently in this era of guerrilla marketing that is so manipulative that we don't even realize it's happening right in front of our faces, where we feel like we're being a part of the creation of a new song on TikTok, like the ABCDEFU by Gail, right? Where she asks people on her TikTok, to give her ideas for this song. And then it turns out that the person who gave her the idea for the song happened to be an Atlantic Records executive. Wow. Right. And she happens to be on Atlantic Records. So, people love to feel like they're a part of a community. That's why we have Quit the Bill, because we want people to actually be a part of our community. But, if you feel like you're being manipulated in marketing, you 100% are. We are definitely seeing it. We're seeing it on TikTok. We're seeing it now on Twitch with people who can control the narrative of the gaming news media by simply getting banned. Yeah. By simply doing something outrageous. All those times that those hot tub streamers, accidentally had, some wardrobe malfunctions, were not wardrobe malfunctions whatsoever. They were planned, right. And you're right. It gives yourself a moment to take a break. It gives yourself a moment to come back and really kind of bring the spotlight back to you. And for what, right? For nothing more than these reaction videos. And it's not saying that, maybe she did this on purpose or knowingly, right? Maybe she was a victim of the actual, the system. The DMCA takedowns are absolutely ridiculous. And Nick, you mentioned that the small creator is the one that gets hurt. That's 100% how it's always been. Yeah. And it's always going to be that way, because if you can bring in the money for these companies like Twitch or YouTube, then it doesn't matter what you do to violate the terms of service. They're just going to give you a slap on the wrist unless you don't fit their narrative, which somebody like Dr. Disrespect might not. And so therefore, he gets that full on ban, right? Where, and down the line, now that we know that, Dr. Disrespect is trying to do his own, gaming company and network of streamers and whatnot and pro sports teams, you got to wonder if maybe competition was a factor in that whole scenario, right? So I think that, we get one narrative from, and this is always the way it is, we get a certain narrative from the media, but there's always ulterior motives going on and benefits that can be had from these situations. Don't think that, Pokimane didn't take that time to say, how can we come back? What can we do when we come back? Maybe I should drop a new merch, release or something like that. Perfect timing. It is a literal perfect storm of marketing marketing content, and for what? A slap on the wrist that we all disagree with. We all know that this DMCA takedown of somebody reacting to something is absolute BS. Like, this is the type of thing that ruins online content and is the antithesis of free use in regards to copyright law. So sorry to go off on a tangent there.
No, that was a solid Bruno rant, but you're right. And I'm glad you mentioned Dr. Disrespect, because I think he set the gold standard for the ban comeback, right? So, of course, Dr. Disrespect, just to recap, he gets banned on Twitch. No one, to this day, it's not publicly known why. There's still some secret, it's very secret why. There's some court orders there where it can't be made known. He's kind of alluded to it, and there are some popular fan theories, but we'll never 100% know for sure as far as I'm concerned. But after a very long time off the air, he finally, I think it was Facebook Gaming, or was YouTube Gaming, one of the two. I want to say it was Facebook, that he finally came back. And I remember watching that first stream when he came back, and I don't normally tune in, for a Dr. Disrespect stream as it starts. And so I watch a lot of his content after then, and I still do to this day, more so than I did before the ban. And so I know that I'm definitely not the exception. I think I'm the norm in that scenario. And I think that a lot of people now are looking at it and they know that, yeah, you can do this. And the risk is so low because best case scenario is you do get banned for a day. Pokemon's already had her comeback stream on Twitch. I guarantee you she put up great numbers. Like you said, she probably monetized it with new merch or something to commemorate the occasion.
If she didn't... That's just a complete miss on her on her end, right?
and I'll even make a kind of maybe I'll take this a little further than maybe it really is. Just think about how we look at other industries like sports or news. Like, the people who get talked about are the ones, like, you always hear, like, oh, so and so got fined $50,000 for doing this. Like, Antonio Brown was in the media just last week because he literally took off his jersey and his helmet, threw him, and quit, and ran off the field shirtless,
got an Uber.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, and now he's been interviewed, he's been on social media, like, he is monetizing this incident and to tell his narrative, whether that's true, untrue, or counter to what the Bucks are saying. But my point is as gaming is growing and the visibility of the industry is growing, there needs to be identifiable stars and people, and they stay current by being talked about. And this is one of those ways of staying in the news, being, Pokemon does this or so-and-so does that. Like, it's just another way to keep themselves current and fresh in gaming people's minds, and they want to tune and be like, what just happened? Like, why did they get banned? Oh, I got to tune back in. Exactly what you said, Nick. And now you are now more of a watcher than you were before. And that's proof in the pudding right there. So
there you go. And some of our viewer comments here, John saying that Pokey is the protected class. I mean, that's just it. It's very unfortunate. If I were in PR for a big name streamer or someone who was kind of mid-tier trying to go up to the next level, my immediate advice, I'm spitballing here, but my immediate advice would be go stream Spider-Man. Just show Spider-Man. Go get a bootleg copy and just stream it. Get yourself banned, get all the attention, and then use that when rally when you get the comeback, as long as you're big enough where Twitch is going to protect you. And even if you do, somehow the right people say the right things and you're out of there, you got other platforms that you can go to. Twitch is no longer the sole place where content creators in the streaming realm can thrive. And I think Dr. Disrespect made a great example of that. So, and of course...
I think you're 100% right. I think John is right too when he says protected class. I would venture to say that there is probably an approval process, a list of streamers that have to be approved to be banned. Because it's just normal, normal Joes who are looking at all of the content that's going on throughout Twitch and whatnot, and they're doing the specific bans for the small channels. I've seen it. I've worked at a live stream company before, Ustream, and seen them actually do it. And so I can guarantee you that the big name people that they have on the platform, there's a list of them, and if somebody violates there, it probably has to go up through a list of superiors that say, yes, we're going to ban them, or no, we're not, we're going to reach out to them them first and let them know. So there has to have been somebody that protected her at a certain point for maybe previous instances where this is becoming an ongoing thing and they had to do something about it. So protected class might be a very literal term in that respect, as she might be on a list that prevents her from being banned for just normal things that would, ban the lowly plebes of the world.
Are you telling me there's a social hierarchy within Twitch? Oh,
no.
Man, Twitch streamers?
Just a societal hierarchy, period. Don't even worry about Twitch.
There's a hierarchy, yeah, exactly, in all of society, but not in the QTB community. Am I
my
right,
goodness.
Nick?
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Bruno. Of course, when you go to quitthebuild.com, you are going to get access to so much content. We are so much more than just one podcast. Of course, our network page shows you all of our amazing podcast partners and our in-house content as well. The Gotta Watch podcast, of course, our friends Tom and Chris at the 1 Hour 1 Decision podcast, where if you haven't heard it, they play a random game on Xbox Game Pass for exactly 1 hour to let you know what kind of value you're going to get for your time. It's a great podcast. Highly recommend it. Double DQ, great wrestling podcast. Of course, Joel, a.k.a. Kung Fu Penguin, our resident streamer. And I got to tell you, Beat It has been putting out some bops and just put out their self-titled album. And it is absolutely sublime. Got some incredible vocals in there. If you've not heard Beat It, you already have if you listen to the podcast. A lot of our intros, outros, we use Beat It's music. But that is our featured musical, exclusive musical partner here at Quit the Build. So go check out that EP on SoundCloud, favorite it on Spotify. You're really going to enjoy it. I kind of get that Monster Cat kind of lo-fi vibe from it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it on earlier today, Nick, while I was working and just doing some things, and it's a great way. It's just good music. It's a great thing to have on. Check it out. You're not going to be disappointed.
There you
I know,
go.
right now on Spotify as well, which you can find us on Spotify and find our merch page.
Oh,
Nick,
man.
look at all that merch on there.
Look at all that merch. We still got the holiday sweaters up if you want those. Get them in time for next year. Some people were saying, oh, man, it was hard to get it in time for the holidays. But start now, and you might get it by December. Also, of course, our classic Power Q QTB t-shirt. We got so many great shirts
Swag.
there. Oh, it's squad swag. That's what we said. I've got my my fresh QTB shirt on right now. So make sure to check it out. That's a great way to support what we do here at Quit the Build. And as always, thank you so much to our listeners. Again, if you are joining us or maybe you're listening, however you're consuming this, make sure to join us. Like I said, it's going to be every Wednesday, or a Tuesday night rather, at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be live on YouTube, Facebook, and even Twitter. I just checked. We are live on Twitter. It's happening. Where you can join the conversation and actually get some of your comments shown and featured on the podcast. Such a great way. This has been a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah, definitely.
This has been fantastic. And shout out to all our listeners who've been participating in the chat and giving us some feedback and live commentary on our discussion. This has been great. I think I'm looking forward to continuing to doing this going forward.
Thanks, Ric Flair. You know exactly what to say to wrap things up. Boy, I sure do love this soundboard, and we love you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, for Nick and Brad, I'm Bruno.
For Bruno and Brad, I'm Nick.
And for Nick and Bruno, I'm Brad.
Peace out. What it do?
Nice. All right. This was a lot of fun. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're just now joining, we're going to be doing a video podcast. It's a kind of a soft launch. It looks like everything went pretty well on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Maybe even more platforms as time goes on. So we will have the VOD of these up, and you can join us every Tuesday evening, 10:30 Eastern Standard, and be part of the conversation. This is kind of the next step of Quit the Build.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. It's been fun, and we are going to be using this platform more often to also do things like some live game streaming, all of that kind of stuff. So it's really going to be a platform where we get to interact with you, you get to interact more with us, and see the faces behind the voices of QTB.
That's it. Alrighty, guys, we're going to go ahead and end it here, and we will see you all on the flippity flip.
On the flippity flop.
Peace.
Later.